welcome back to educator.com. For the next lesson, we're going to go over classifying triangles. So, depending on the angles and the sides of the triangles, they have different names. So, first, by angles, to classify, we know that we have three angles, right? And we have three sides. So, depending on the angles, the three angles of the triangle, we are going to have different names for them. So the first one is called an acute triangle. Now notice how all the angles, this angle here, and this angle here, are all less than 90 degrees. It means that they're kind of small, right? So all angles are less than 90 degrees. Remember, a 90-degree angle is a right angle, right? So all three of them have to be less than 90, and then it's called an acute triangle. The next one is when you have one right angle. The other two angles are going to be acute, okay? So from within a triangle, if only one angle is a right angle, then it's called a right triangle. So only one angle is going to be 90 degrees. Now it's only one angle because you can only have one angle be a right angle. There's no way you can have a triangle where there's two angles that are right angles, okay? So again, a triangle can only have one right angle. It just doesn't, you just can't do it. So if that's one of the right angles of a triangle, if I draw this one as a right angle, well, that's not going to be a triangle, right? So it's not possible to have two right angles in a triangle. So again, one right angle, and that becomes a right triangle. The third type of triangle, by its angles, is an obtuse triangle. That means one of the angles, okay, this one right here, is going to be greater than 90. So one angle is greater than 90 degrees. This means bigger, right? So one angle is bigger than 90 degrees. Then the other two are going to be acute. Just like the right triangle, it's impossible to have more than one angle of a triangle be obtuse. So let's say, so that's my obtuse angle. If I draw another obtuse angle, let's say like that, right? There's no way I can have a triangle because remember, a triangle only has three sides. So you can only have one obtuse angle within a triangle. And if you do have one obtuse angle, then it becomes an obtuse triangle. So an acute triangle, a right triangle, and an obtuse triangle are all types of triangles by angles. A way to remember, now right angle we know, a right triangle we know is when we have a right angle, right? To remember between an acute angle or acute triangle and an obtuse triangle, think of what this spells. Acute, right? Acute triangle. So if these are small angles, then we tend to think that they're cute. So you can think of it that way. A acute triangle is when all three angles are small, so then it's a acute triangle. Okay, obtuse is just a larger angle, so that would be the obtuse triangle. Okay, so next is classifying triangles by sides. So again, depending on their sides, they're going to have different names. Now, if all three sides are the same, then it's an equilateral triangle. These little marks right here, that shows that it's the same. So if this side, and this side all have one mark each, that means all three sides are the same, are congruent. Okay? That means this is an equilateral triangle. So if this is 10 inches, and this has to be 10 inches, and that has to be 10 inches, right? So it's equilateral. This means equal, and lateral means sides. So it's like equal sides. So equilateral triangle. So 3 sides are congruent. 3 sides are the same. Now, isosceles triangle, the next one, isosceles is when you have 2 out of the 3 sides being the same. Okay, so this side and this side are congruent. Congruent just means the same. So this side and this side are the same. That is an isosceles triangle. So this is all 3 sides. This is 2 out of the 3 sides. So 2 sides are the same. And then the third one is a scalene triangle. A scalene triangle is when no sides are the same. Okay? So this one, and this one, they're all different. Okay? So all sides are different. Scalene. So equilateral, isosceles, and scalene triangle. So this is classifying triangles by its sides, depending on the sides. Okay, so the first example is to classify the triangle by its angles and sides. So look at the angles first. If you look at the angles, this is an acute angle, this is an acute angle, and this is an acute angle. We can tell because they're all smaller than 90 degrees. They're all smaller than right angles, right? So that name for a triangle with all 3 acute angles is an acute triangle. Acute triangle. And then by its sides, okay, look at the sides. Well, this one is congruent to this one, and it's congruent to that. So all 3 sides are the same. That is an equilateral triangle. Okay, this is by angles, and this is by sides. So this triangle, this type of triangle has 2 names. This one, okay, so then this is acute, acute, and acute. So therefore, this is an acute triangle. And then by its sides, we have 2 that are the same. So this is isosceles triangle. Okay, so angles and sides. Okay, let's sketch each figure. An isosceles right triangle. Okay, so we have to make sure that it's isosceles is when we have 2 sides being the same. A right triangle is when we have 1 right angle. So I need to draw a triangle with 1 right angle. And these sides being the same. Like that. Okay? Now, if this is, just to mention, if this is a right isosceles triangle, we know that this is 90 degrees, right? Then this angle and this angle will actually be exactly the same. Because if this is isosceles, then see how the distance from here to here and from here to here are the same? So this angle and this angle would be exactly the same also. Okay? So this is an isosceles right triangle. The next one is scalene and obtuse triangle. A scalene obtuse triangle. Scalene is when there's no sides are the same. And obtuse is when you have 1 angle that's larger than 90, right? So obtuse angle, and then scalene means that no 2 sides are the same. So draw 1 short, draw 1 longer, and then this one is going to be the longest. So that is a scalene obtuse triangle. Okay, and classify the triangle by its angles and sides. So here, by angles first, let's do angles. Let's see. This is acute. This looks like it's obtuse, right? Because it looks like it's greater than 90. So, and this is acute. So just because I have one obtuse angle, that's going to make this whole triangle an obtuse triangle. And then, by its sides, we have two sides that are the same. So this is going to be an isosceles triangle. So obtuse triangle and isosceles triangle. The next one, by its angle, I have one right angle, an acute angle. When you have only one right angle, that makes the whole triangle a right triangle. And then, by its sides, well, doesn't show that any two sides are the same. Okay, looks like this is the shortest one. Okay, this is the next one, and that one's the longest. So this is going to be scalene. Scalene triangle. And for the fourth example, given the measures of the angles of a triangle, classify the triangle by its sides and measures. Okay. So here, just based on the angle measure, we need to, or the measures, we need to figure out what type of triangle it is, right? By its angles and by its sides. So here, look at that. That's a 90-degree angle. That means I'm going to have a right triangle. Now this is 90. The other two angles are going to be 45 and 45, right? Now if I were to draw this like that, like a house kind of, this is 45 and this is 45, right? They're the same. Then that means these two sides are going to be the same because the distance from here to here and the distance from here to here have to be the same for these two angles to be the same. Okay, so then this is going to be an isosceles right triangle. Okay, this is by its sides and this is by its angles. The next one, 30 degrees, 100 degrees, and 50 degrees. So if you look at that one, that's greater than 90, right? So greater than 90. Okay, now let me just draw this again so that way you can see this a little bit clearer. So this will be the 100-degree angle, right? So this is going to be the 100-degree angle. And then notice how I drew this side really long and this side really short. If I draw this really long, then see how this angle gets skinnier, so it gets less. That means that one is going to be the 30-degree one, and this one's going to be the 50-degree one. So in order for me to have different angle measures for this one and this one, these two sides have to be different because I have to draw one long, so it gets skinnier, right? And then my angle would be less, it would be smaller. So this, we know, first of all, is going to be an obtuse triangle, right? But with the sides, because I had to draw one longer than the other, so the angle would be smaller than the other, it's going to be a scalene triangle. So this is a scalene obtuse triangle. Okay, scalene by its sides obtuse because of that 100-degree angle. Okay? So that's it for this lesson. Thank you for watching educator.com.